Godmother, I'm not Lavra. I'm Sophia. Those were the chilling words a 3-year-old child said to her own godmother in São Paulo 3 years after her death. That's right. This is the real, thoroughly documented story of how a 3-year-old girl died of fulminant meningitis in 1963 in Mogi-Mirim, in the countryside of São Paulo, and returned exactly 1 year later as her own younger sister. What you're about to discover in this video will leave you speechless and make you question everything you believe about life and death. It's one of the most extraordinarily well-documented reincarnation cases in all of Brazil, rigorously investigated by the renowned Brazilian Institute of Psychobiophysical Research, IBPP, with eyewitnesses, precise dates, full names, and official documents corroborating every detail of this impossible story. Sophia was the daughter of a couple of Muslim Lebanese immigrants who had settled in Brazil in search of a better life. An absolutely beautiful child, extremely affectionate and loving, she adored her godmother, Mrs. Beatriz Costa Azevedo. In April 1963, at only 3 years old, a devastating fulminant meningitis took her precious life in a matter of hours. But what happened after this tragedy will send shivers down your spine. Godmother Beatriz had detailed premonitory dreams 9 whole days before the tragedy, and exactly 1 year after Sophia's death, when Lavra, the family's new baby girl, was born. Something absolutely extraordinary and inexplicable began to happen in the home of this Lebanese couple. Prepare for a journey that may transform your view of the human soul. This is not fiction. It's not an urban legend. It is, as recorded, methodical investigation of the impossible. April 2, 1963, a seemingly ordinary Tuesday in peaceful Mogi-Mirim, became the haunted beginning of one of the most disturbing and inexplicable stories ever scientifically documented in Brazil. Mrs. Beatriz Costa Azevedo, a respected federal civil servant and a woman of faith, awoke in a panic in the middle of the night, heart racing uncontrollably, cold sweat running down her face, and a sense of absolute terror consuming her entire being. The dream had been so intensely real, so vividly sharp, that she could still smell funeral flowers and damp cemetery soil. In that horrifyingly detailed dream, she saw with disturbing clarity her beloved goddaughter Sophia dead. The girl appeared wearing her pink birthday dress, the same beautiful dress Beatriz had lovingly bought for the party on April 5th. In the dream, Sophia looked straight into her godmother's eyes and said, in an ethereal voice, "Godmother, I died, but I will come back to you." As if that weren't terrifying enough, in the same dream, Beatriz also saw her own nephew drowning in the turbulent waters of the Pardo River in Rebirth Preto. 2 devastating omens in one night. Coincidence? Absolutely not. Throughout April 3rd, Beatriz remained unsettled, deeply anxious, and overwhelmed by annoying anguish. She felt a desperate need to see Sophia. She went immediately to the Lebanese family's house to lovingly prepare sweets and cakes for the girl's birthday on the 5th. When she arrived, Sophia ran into her arms as she always had since she was little. But this time, something was different. As the child fell into Beatriz's embrace that April afternoon, something inexplicable happened. Beatriz felt a devastating, unexplainable tightness in her chest, as if an invisible force were squeezing her heart with icy claws. She hugged the child tightly and, unable to control herself, burst into desperate tears. "Why are you crying like that, my dear co-mother?" asked Miriam, Sophia's Muslim mother, alarmed. Did something terrible happen? Reluctantly, fighting her emotions, Beatriz finally yielded to Miriam's insistence and recounted, in detail, the dreadful dream. Miriam, a deeply religious woman who followed Muslim precepts, was visibly disturbed. In her culture, dreams carry profound meaning and are considered divine warnings. She pleaded for Beatriz not to tell anyone, especially not in front of Sophia. For the next 2 days, a heavy, oppressive atmosphere hung over the home. Beatriz could not shake the disturbing images. Sophia, for her part, played happily, completely unaware of the deadly omen shadowing her life. April 5th finally arrived, Sophia's birthday. The party went on as planned. The girl played, laughed heartily, and savored the sweets Beatrice had prepared with so much love. No one imagined for a second it would be the last time they would see that beautiful, vibrant child. The photographs from that day show Sophia radiant in the pink dress from Beatrice's dream, smiling innocently at the camera, with no idea that fate had already sealed her tragic end. What happened exactly 6 days later would make anyone question the power of premonition. April 11th, 1963, in the early morning, the phone rang insistently at Beatrice's home. On the other end, Miriam's broken, desperate voice delivered the most devastating news a mother can give. Beatrice, Sophia, she died. Fulminant meningitis in just a few hours. The child had fallen terribly ill through the night, with a soaring fever that reached 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit, violent convulsions that shook her small body, and neurological deterioration so rapid that the doctors could do nothing. Within mere hours, life ebbed from the girl's fragile body, exactly as Beatrice had seen in her premonitory dream 9 days earlier. But wait, the story grows even more chilling. That same April 11th, Beatrice's nephew was found drowned in the Pardo River at Ribeirão, exactly as she had foreseen. 2 deaths predicted 9 days in advance. How could such a thing be humanly possible? When Beatrice arrived, utterly devastated, at the Lebanese family's home for the wake, she froze in terror upon seeing Sophia in the small white coffin. The girl wore the same pink birthday dress from the dream, every detail, every fold, every hair ribbon identical. That night, something even more haunting occurred. Beatrice had a second dream of Sophia. This time, the girl appeared in the city cemetery, standing exactly between 2 large trees, which coincidentally was the precise spot where she would be buried the next day. Dressed in the same pink dress, Sophia said in a clear voice, "Godmother, don't cry. I will come back to you and to my mother." Exactly 1 year passed since the devastating tragedy. The stabbing pain of loss remained unbearable in Miriam's shattered heart. As a deeply devout woman, following the precepts of her faith, she knelt in prayer and made a plea that would change the family's destiny. Almighty God, Lord of the heavens and the earth, please give me a daughter exactly like my beloved Sophia, who is gone. I beg you, bring back a child with the same heart, the same love, the same joy my daughter had. And then, the impossible happened. As if the heavens themselves had heard a grieving mother's cry, Miriam became pregnant a few months later. In 1964, exactly 1 year after Sophia's tragic death, Laura was born, a beautiful baby girl with physical features surprisingly similar to her deceased sister. Still devastated by their loss, the parents made a drastic decision to move to São Paulo when Laura was just 8 months old. They desperately wanted a fresh start, far from the painful memories haunting every corner of their house in Mogi-Mirim. Beatrice, the godmother who had witnessed the supernatural events, lost contact with the family. 3 long, painful years passed in complete silence, years of deep longing and unending grief. Finally, in 1967, Beatrice gathered her courage and decided to travel to São Paulo to visit the family. What happened at that reunion would become one of the most striking moments in Brazilian paranormal research. When Beatrice arrived at the home, Laura was out with her mother. Beatrice waited, anxious and curious to finally meet the couple's new daughter, the child who had been born to fill the void Sophia left. Eventually, they arrived. Miriam opened the door holding the hand of a girl exactly 3 years old, the same age Sophia was when she died. What happened next is etched forever in history. The moment Laura laid eyes on Beatrice, a complete stranger she had never seen, something extraordinary occurred. The little girl immediately let go of her mother's hand and ran straight into Beatrice's arms. It wasn't a shy, hesitant run of a child meeting someone new. It was exactly how Sophia had done it, arms wide open, a bright, familiar smile. throwing herself into the lap of a stranger with an intimacy and familiarity impossible to explain rationally. Beatrice went into complete shock. Her heart pounded, tears flooded her eyes. It was as if Sophia had returned from the dead alive again in her arms. Lavra nestled into Beatrice's lap in the same position, with the same delicate caresses, the same natural intimacy Sophia had shown. For a 3-year-old supposedly seeing this woman for the first time, the behavior defied coincidence. "Godmother, I like you very much," Lavra said, looking straight into Beatrice's eyes with a disturbing, familiar intensity as if recognizing a kindred soul. Trying to hold on to reason, Beatrice replied carefully, "Lavra, you're not my goddaughter, dear. I'm godmother to Pedro," referring to another child she had baptized in the same family. What happened next left everyone speechless. Lavra began to cry desperately, inconsolably. She fought with Pedro, insisting with unnerving conviction that Beatrice was her true godmother, hers and no one else's. Tears ran down the girl's face as if her very identity were being denied. Hours passed. Beatrice sat sewing a dress for Miriam, and something identical to Sophia's time happened. Laura stayed glued to her side the entire time, just as Sophia used to do. Despite toys scattered around and other children playing in the yard, Lavra never left Beatrice's side. Then Beatrice decided to make a decisive test. "Lavra, could you bring me a glass of fresh water, please?" The answer from that 3-year-old froze the blood of everyone in the room. "Godmother, I'm not Lavra, I'm Sophia. Don't call me Lavra. I don't want that name. I want you to call me Sophia because I am Sophia. You are my true godmother. If you don't call me Sophia, I'll be very, very sad." She started crying again, this time with even deeper anguish, as if her essential identity, her very soul, were being cruelly denied by the people she loved most. Miriam watched everything in sepulchral silence. As a devout Muslim, she respectfully lowered her head upon hearing the name of her deceased daughter. Perceiving her friend's religious discomfort and deeply moved by the child's genuine anguish, Beatrice relented. "Very well, my child. I am your godmother. You don't need to be sad anymore, my love." Lavra immediately stopped crying and smiled radiantly, as if finally recognized and accepted for who she truly was at her deepest essence. At dinner, something even more unsettling happened. Lavra went straight to the exact place Sophia had occupied in life, to Beatrice's right, on the same little wooden chair, with the same peculiar table habits, the same way of holding utensils, the same 3 little mannerisms while eating. After dinner, Beatrice went to the kitchen to make her special homemade sweets, as she used to. Lavra asked something that froze everyone. "Dear godmother, aren't you going to make that special chocolate sweet I loved so much?" How could a 3-year-old who had supposedly never tasted Beatrice's unique chocolate brigadeiros know, with such certainty, that they were her favorites, the exact sweets Sophia had adored and constantly asked for? With trembling hands, Beatrice quietly asked Miriam, "Tell me honestly, does Lavra have the exact same habits and customs Sophia had?" The mother's answer was devastating and definitive. "Everything, my dear. Absolutely everything. Exactly the same as Sophia did when she was alive, Lavra does now, the same spoiled child quirks, the same peculiar tastes in food, the same delicate hand gestures, the same strong and affectionate personality. It's as if Sophia's soul simply changed bodies. During the 3 full days Beatrice stayed with the family, Lavra never left her, not for a single minute. She didn't want to play with toys, didn't get distracted, and ignored everyone else. This extraordinary story quickly reached 𝐈𝐌𝐿𝐿𝐿, an influential spiritist leader in Mogi-Mirim, a cultured and respected man who immediately recognized the scientific and historical importance of the case. He contacted the renowned Brazilian Institute of Psychobiophysical Research, IBPP, one of the most respected paranormal research institutions in South America, internationally known for meticulous scientific methods. The institute promptly sent its best specialists to investigate every detail. They extensively interviewed Beatrice, collected detailed testimonies from multiple eyewitnesses, rigorously verified all dates, and examined official birth and death certificates. On November 14, 1971, precisely at 11:40 a.m., an official interview was recorded with Beatrice Costa Azevedo, preserving every detail for scientific posterity. Investigators also interviewed Elena Ribeiro and her daughter Patricia, direct witnesses who categorically confirmed Beatrice's premonitory dream days before Sophia's tragic death. She told me she was terrified because she had a terrible dream in which she saw the girl dead. I even said the child looked beautiful and healthy. She always came here to play. Then, the very next day, she actually died exactly as in the dream, confirmed Elena in her recorded testimony. Every fact was rigorously documented. All witnesses were interviewed individually and cross-checked. All dates were verified in official registries. The unanimous conclusion of the researchers was categorical. This was a completely legitimate, genuine case that strongly suggested, with concrete, compelling evidence, the phenomenon of human reincarnation. The IBPP researchers meticulously analyzed every possible scientific hypothesis to explain this extraordinary phenomenon. Deliberate fraud, impossible. Beatrice was a federal civil servant of impeccable reputation, a respected and upright person who, notably, emphasized the premonitory dream even more than the reincarnation aspect. Besides, what motive would a traditional, conservative Muslim family have to fabricate a reincarnation story, a concept not part of their religious beliefs? Genetic memory. How could a 3-year-old insist on being called by her deceased sister's name, instantly recognize her godmother she had never met, and recall unique, specific preferences like Beatrice's special brigadeiros? Genetics cannot account for such precise behavioral memories. Mediumistic incorporation. For this to hold, Laura would have had to remain in a constant trance her entire life, something no one ever observed. She behaved normally, playing, eating, sleeping like any other child. Statistical coincidence. Given so many specific details, identical behaviors, instantaneous recognition, and precise memories, the mathematical probability would be less than 1 in billions, statistically impossible. The only explanation that fit all the observed facts without exception was unequivocally reincarnation. Laura didn't merely resemble Sophia. She demonstrated being Sophia through automatic behaviors, specific memories, and recognitions impossible for a child her age to have acquired by conventional means. Today, more than 5 decades later, the Laura versus Sophia case remains a landmark in scientific research on reincarnation, both in Brazil and internationally. This is not a fanciful tale or baseless urban legend. It's a real case rigorously documented, with full names, here anonymized, precise dates, living witnesses, and physical evidence that withstands rigorous scrutiny. The girl who died prematurely at age 3 in 1963 truly returned a year later to the same Lebanese family, carrying intact her deepest memories, unique personality, and strongest bonds of affection. Beatrice's premonitory dreams were confirmed in every detail. The nephew tragically drowned in the Pardo River. Sophia died of meningitis on the exact day foreseen. And the spiritual promise, "I will come back," was literally fulfilled. Miriam's desperate, sincere plea, "My God, grant me a daughter just like Sophia," was answered in a way she could never have imagined. This case powerfully suggests that true, profound love transcends the barrier of physical death, that genuine emotional bonds can draw a soul back to the same family nucleus, and that individual human consciousness may survive the total destruction of the physical body. Verified official sources: Reincarnation in Brazil, 8 cases suggesting rebirth, by Dr. Hernani Guimarães Andrade, officially published by the Brazilian Institute of Psychobiophysical Research, EB. Recorded testimonies archived at the IBPP. Death and birth certificates verified in Mogi-MIRIM registries. If this real, documented story moved you, like this video and share it with someone who needs to discover that death is not the end. Subscribe now to Paths of the Soul and turn on notifications to receive more real, rigorously documented reincarnation cases that will transform your view of life, death, and the eternity of the human soul. Tell us in the comments, do you believe Sophia truly reincarnated as Lavra? Share if you've lived something similar or know of comparable cases. Your experience may help others.